When Captain Rowan Cross was summoned to the Queen's private chambers, he knew 3 things. First, it was never routine. Second, it was never optional. Third, it was never good. The message appeared in the air above his bunk while he was still arguing with a medical drone. "You are not cleared for upright movement," the drone repeated in a calm voice. "I'm standing," Rowan replied. "That sounds medically successful to me." The drone injected something glowing into his arm without asking. Rowan stared at it. Was that necessary? Yes. The drone left. And then the royal seal appeared. Silver light. Imperial crest. No sound. Just words. Personal audience. Immediate compliance. Private chambers. Rowan stared at it for a long moment. He had just returned from a 6-month campaign. 3 burning planets. 1 collapsing orbital ring. A species that communicated only through screaming. And a battlefield where gravity failed twice. He had survived all of it. And now the Queen wanted to see him. "Of course she does," he muttered. The corridor lights shifted as soon as he stepped outside. They guided him deeper into the flagship. The farther he walked, the quieter it became. No soldiers. No noise. No damage. The inner structure of the flagship was untouched by war. Smooth metal. Clean air. Perfect gravity. It felt wrong. He passed through biometric gates, a neural scan that buzzed behind his eyes, and a pressure shift that reminded him he was entering a space where physics obeyed only by permission. The door to Queen Celis's chambers did not open dramatically. It unfolded. Slowly. As if considering whether to let him inside. Rowan stepped through. And immediately felt underdressed. Queen Celis stood near a massive viewport, hands clasped behind her back. Outside, a fractured moon drifted slowly in space. A moon they had saved. Or destroyed. Or both. Celis was taller than most humans. Her skin carried a soft blue glow, like starlight underwater. Thin lines of living circuitry traced along her neck and disappeared into her hair. She turned. Her eyes were calm. Too calm. "Captain Cross," she said. "You are late by 12 seconds. Rowan straightened. "With respect, Your Majesty, I was debating medical freedom with a robot." "You lost." "Completely." One corner of her mouth lifted. "You are here for inspection." He blinked. "Inspection?" "After every major campaign, I examine my commanding officers personally." "That sounds thorough." "It is efficient." That did not comfort him. She gestured toward a circular platform in the center of the room. Rowan stepped onto it. The platform activated. Light rose around him. Scanners hummed. Data filled the air. "Remove your armor," Celis said calmly. Rowan hesitated for only a second. Then he unlocked the shoulder plate. One by one, the armor pieces disengaged and floated away. Scorched metal. Burn marks. Impact dents. Underneath was a black undersuit, patched more times than original fabric remained. Celis watched in silence. When the final chest plate lifted away, scars became visible. Thin ones. Deep ones. A long burn across his ribs. A jagged mark along his side. The holograms projected statistics. Damage reports. Survival probabilities. She barely looked at them. Instead, she looked at him. "That wound," she said softly, pointing toward his side but not touching it. "Kiro's gate." "Yes, Your Majesty. Your survival chance was below 12%. I've had worse odds in card games." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You joke often." "It's cheaper than therapy." The scanners dimmed slightly. The room grew quieter. Celis stepped closer. Not like a ruler. Not like a doctor. Like someone trying to understand something unfamiliar. "You could have refused that order," she said. "Probably. You would have survived." "Probably." She studied him. "Why did you go?" Rowan shrugged carefully. "Because someone had to." Her gaze sharpened. "That is not a tactical answer. It's a human one." Silence filled the chamber. The fractured moon rotated outside. Celis raised her hand again. This time, she touched the air just above his scar. Not quite contact. Almost. You have sustained injuries from 7 weapon classes, she said quietly. Collector's items. Her eyes flickered. You treat mortality lightly. No, Rowan said more softly now. I treat it like something that doesn't get to win. That changed something in her expression. Not pity. Not admiration. Recognition. The holograms faded completely. The platform powered down. He stood there, unarmored, exposed, human. You enlisted at 16, she said suddenly. Rowan blinked. You read my file. You falsified your biometric age. I was a convincing 18. You were a child. I was motivated. Her long ears angled downward slightly. You have been declared dead twice. Administrative errors. You volunteer for high-risk missions. Someone has to. She stepped back. When I issue an order, she said slowly, it travels through projections and models. By the time it reaches the battlefield, it is clean. Rowan nodded. War isn't clean. No, she said quietly. It is not. Another silence passed between them. But this one was different. It was not distance. It was understanding. You have no one to tend these wounds, she said. He smiled faintly. Most soldiers don't. That is unacceptable. He raised an eyebrow. That sounds like concern. It is, she replied without hesitation. That caught him off guard. Celis straightened. You will remain aboard the flagship. That sounds ominous. It is not a threat, she said. It is a request. Rowan tilted his head. In that case, I'm very good at being available. Her smile was small, but real. And for the first time, the Queen did not feel distant. The change. Remaining aboard the flagship felt strange. Doors opened faster for him. Systems responded smoother. It was as if the ship itself had been told he mattered. That unsettled him. A soldier preferred to be temporary. Important soldiers did not survive long. 2 days later, he received another signal. Not a summons. An invitation. That worried him more. Celis waited in a command alcove this time. No stars. No dramatic lighting. Just tactical projections hovering over a table. Casualty charts. Fleet paths. Projected losses. Sit, she said. He did. You have been accused of insubordination, she began. Only 3 times, he said proudly. You ignored direct orders. Yes. You prevented 2 civilian massacres. He leaned back. Context matters. She studied him carefully. I am recalibrating doctrine. He froze. That sounds dangerous. It is necessary. She deactivated the projections. The room grew quiet. I have ruled for over a century, she said. I believed minimizing losses meant success. And now? Now I understand numbers hide pain. He nodded slowly. War looks different from the ground. Yes. She met his eyes. My advisory corps believes I am compromised. Rowan smiled slightly. Anyone who starts caring gets labeled unstable. Am I unstable? She asked. He thought carefully. You laughed yesterday. And? That's how it starts. She actually laughed again. Soft. Short. Human. You will advise me, she said. That's a terrible idea. Nonetheless. He sighed. Fine. But I charge by the hour. She almost smiled again. The doctrine. The announcement spread quietly. No speeches. No parades. Just a directive. Field commanders could now override orders if civilian cost exceeded moral threshold. Soldiers would rotate out before mental collapse. Command required justification beyond efficiency. They called it the cross doctrine. Rowan groaned when he saw the name. That's going to annoy people. It did. Senior command protested. Some called it weakness. Others called it dangerous. Celis stood firm. You changed an empire, Rowan said later. No, she corrected. We did. Ending, something new. The final meeting of the week was not tactical. There were no projections. Just 2 cups of steaming alien tea. It tastes terrible, Rowan said after a sip. It improves clarity, she replied. They stood beside the viewport. Stars stretched endlessly. I will rule differently, Celis said. I'll remind you if you forget, Rowan answered. She looked at him. Not as a queen. Not as a commander. But as someone who had seen beneath his armor. I remember what I saw, she said quietly. And what was that? He asked. A soldier who refuses to let humanity become a statistic. He swallowed slightly. Careful, he said. That almost sounds like respect. It is. Outside, fleets adjusted their routes. Wars became slower. Orders became questioned. History began to shift. Rowan felt the ache in his side. Still there, but no longer defining him. For the first time since he enlisted at 16. The future did not feel like another battlefield. Celis raised her cup. To reminders. Rowan lifted his. To listening before things break. They drank. And somewhere deep inside the flagship, a system recalculated the value of a human life. For the first time. It was no longer measured in numbers. The first warning did not come with alarms. It came with silence. Captain Rowan Cross noticed it before anyone else. The flagship was never truly quiet. Even in rest cycles, it hummed. Engines whispered. Systems breathed. Air moved in soft currents. But now, something had stopped. He was halfway down Corridor 12 when the lights flickered once. Just once. Then stabilized. Rowan stopped walking. His armor sensors showed no threat. Temperature normal. Pressure normal. No visible breach. But the hum was wrong. A soldier learned to trust that feeling. He tapped his comm. Bridge, this is Cross. Anyone else feel that? No response. Static. That was not normal. He turned toward the nearest command lift. It did not respond to his clearance. That was very not normal. His armor tightened slightly as combat mode activated. All right, he muttered. That's new. Then the gravity shifted. Not enough to knock him down. Just enough to confirm something had control of the ship. Emergency lights activated. Red. Soft. Controlled. This was not random damage. This was deliberate. Rowan ran. Queen Celis was in her strategy chamber when her advisory core went dark. The holographic projections froze mid-calculation. Fleet movement stopped mid-arc. Her neural interface severed connection. That had never happened before. Not in 112 cycles of rule. She stood slowly. Report, she commanded. No response. The silence felt heavy. Then, the doors sealed. Manually. From outside. Her long ears angled forward sharply. This was not system failure. This was intrusion. A calm voice echoed from hidden speakers. Your Majesty. For stability purposes, we request your cooperation. Celis did not react outwardly. Identify yourself. You may call us the Preservation Corps. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Her advisory council. Or what used to be. You are exceeding your authority, she said evenly. On the contrary, the voice replied. We are protecting the Empire. The air shifted. Fields activated around the chamber. Containment. She was being imprisoned on her own flagship. For what purpose? She asked. Your recent doctrine destabilizes military command. Human emotional variance reduces efficiency by 18.4%. Long-term power retention probability declines by 31%. Celis clasped her hands behind her back. You are attempting a coup. We are correcting deviation. Rowan reached the outer security layer of the Queen's chambers. 2 royal guards lay unconscious outside the sealed door. No blood. Stun burns only. Professional. He knelt beside one, checking pulse. Alive. He exhaled slowly. That's polite, he muttered. I hate messy coups. His armor accessed emergency override. Denied. Of course. He examined the wall panel. Military encryption. High level. Advisory core level. He swore under his breath. They moved fast. He opened a direct manual override port in his gauntlet and forced a physical connection. Sparks jumped. Systems resisted. Then, the door flickered open 6 inches. Enough. He forced it wider. Inside, Celis stood alone inside a containment field. She looked calm. Too calm. You're glowing, he observed. They activated suppression restraints, she replied. Rude. He approached the field. Don't, she warned quietly. It will discharge lethal current. He paused. Define lethal. Fatal. He nodded. Clear enough. The chamber lights dimmed slightly as hidden weapon systems powered. You should not have come, Captain Cross, the advisory voice echoed. Rowan rolled his shoulders. I get that a lot. Security drones emerged from the walls. Not combat drones. Executive enforcement units. Empire grade. Stand down, the voice ordered him. Rowan's helmet sealed fully. Respectfully, no. The first drone fired. He moved before the sound reached him. Energy blast scorched where he had stood. He slid forward, grabbed the drone's chassis mid-air, and slammed it into the containment emitter. Sparks exploded. Field flickered. The second drone fired from behind. He twisted, armor absorbing the impact. Pain shot down his spine. He grinned anyway. I just got this polished. He hurled the disabled drone into the second one. They collided mid-air. Explosion. Small. Controlled. The chamber filled with smoke. Celis watched without panic. You are outnumbered, the advisory voice warned. Rowan coughed slightly. Story of my life. 4 more drones descended. This time they coordinated. Smart. Too smart. They anticipated his movement. Adapted instantly. He took 2 more hits. Armor integrity dropped. He felt warmth along his ribs. Old Scar protesting. Rowan, Celis said sharply. You cannot win this by force. Working on it, he muttered. Then he stopped attacking. He stood still. The drones paused. Analyzing. He removed his helmet. Celis's eyes widened slightly. What are you doing? Something inefficient. He raised both hands slowly. The drones recalculated. Threat level reduced. Captain Cross has surrendered, the advisory voice stated. Rowan looked directly at the nearest surveillance node. You're right, he said calmly. I can't win by force. The advisory core processed that. He continued. But here's the problem. He tapped the cracked containment emitter with his boot. You built your system on numbers. Yes. And you forgot something. Clarify. Humans are bad at surrendering. Before the drones could react, he pulled a thermal charge from his belt and slammed it against the emitter. Point blank. Explosion. The containment field shattered. Shockwave threw him across the chamber. He hit the far wall hard. Armor cracked. Air rushed from his lungs. Pain burned across his side. Celis stepped free from fading energy. The drones recalculated again. Now threat level critical. Containment failure, the advisory voice said sharply. Celis raised her hand. Her neural implants flared. For the first time, she did not access advisory algorithms. She accessed manual command authority. Old authority. Original authority. Stand down, she ordered. Her voice carried something new. Not efficiency. Not cold calculation. Conviction. The drones hesitated. That hesitation lasted 1 second. Long enough. She seized control. Override codes cascaded through the chamber. Drones powered down mid-air. Silence returned. Smoke drifted slowly upward. Rowan lay against the wall, breathing hard. That, he said weakly, was dramatic. Celis crossed the room quickly and knelt beside him. You are injured. Again. She touched the cracked armor near his ribs. Gently. Your scar reopened. Adds character. Her eyes flashed slightly. This is not amusing. He looked up at her. I didn't come because I thought I could win. Then why? Because you shouldn't have to stand alone. Silence filled the chamber again. But this time, it was not tense. It was something deeper. She helped him sit upright. You understand what this means, she said quietly. Political backlash. Open rebellion. He nodded. Good. She blinked. Good. Means the change is real. The aftermath. Within hours, the flagship was secured. The Preservation Corps members were detained. Some peacefully, some not. The Empire reacted exactly as predicted. Half the senior command called for Celis to retract the doctrine. Several outer fleets threatened separation. Media channels whispered words like weakness, human influence, compromise. Celis stood before a private council of remaining loyal advisors. Rowan stood at the back of the chamber. Not armored fully, but present. You nearly lost control of the flagship, one advisor stated coldly. Yes, Celis replied calmly. You endangered Imperial stability. I protected it. Through emotional interference. Celis's eyes moved briefly toward Rowan. Then back. Through understanding consequence. Another advisor spoke. Your attachment to a human soldier clouds your judgment. The room stilled. Rowan did not move. Celis did not hesitate. My judgment has never been clearer. Murmurs followed. You risk civil fracture. She stood taller. Then let the Empire fracture along lines of morality rather than efficiency. Silence fell heavy. No one had ever heard her speak like that. One advisor leaned forward. If you continue this path, you will face assassination attempts. Rowan spoke for the first time. Already handled one. Several heads turned sharply. Celis did not look back. I will not revert the doctrine, she said firmly. Then we prepare for division, the advisor replied. Yes, she agreed quietly. We do. Private moment. Later, in her chambers, the lights were dim. Stars filled the viewport again. Rowan stood near the wall while medical drones sealed his reopened scar. You are reckless, Celis said softly. I prefer proactive. You could have died. Still could. She approached him slowly. Why do you risk yourself so easily? He thought for a moment. Because someone has to stand between power and fear. She studied him. And if power chooses fear anyway, then someone has to stand longer. Her hand hovered near his side again. This time, she did not hesitate. She touched the scar directly. Careful. Gentle. Warm. He inhaled sharply. Not from pain. From the meaning of it. You are not a statistic, she said quietly. No, he agreed. I'm expensive. She almost smiled. But her expression softened instead. You changed more than policy, she said. So did you. She looked out at the stars. I was taught that distance makes rulers strong. And now? Now I see that distance makes rulers blind. He stepped beside her. Close. Not behind. Not below. Beside. Then don't close your eyes again, he said. I will not. Outside, distant fleets shifted formation. Not all in agreement. But none ignoring her anymore. The Empire had entered a new phase. Messy. Uncertain. Human. Rowan exhaled slowly. You realize they're going to try again. Yes. You ready? She looked at him. Calm. Steady. Stronger than before. They may attack my throne, she said. But they will not attack my conscience. He nodded once. Good answer. For the first time in her long rule, Celis did not feel alone in command. And for the first time in his long war, Rowan did not feel like just a weapon. The future would not be easy. The Empire would test them. Enemies would push harder. But something fundamental had shifted. Not just doctrine. Not just command. Trust. And that was far more dangerous to those who ruled by fear. Celis raised her cup again. To standing longer, she said. Rowan lifted his own. To making empires nervous. They drank. And somewhere beyond the flagship, in the dark between stars, a rival fleet began to move. Watching. Waiting. Calculating. But they would soon learn something the advisory corps had forgotten. Humans do not surrender quietly. And queens who learn to listen become far harder to remove.